Gotcha.
Okay, we're live.
We are live. Well, my thing says live in 4 minutes and 42 seconds, but I think you're probably right.
Again today, so I unplugged one of them.
Gotcha. Okay. Got that muted. And I don't know why it's saying live in 4 minutes and 18 seconds.
And let's just wait.
There are 2 watching now. Yeah. Okay, so we're up. So we're going to wait and see, let a few people get into the room. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go back to Zoom on this screen so I can see you. Let's see. In meeting, cancel. Okay. And we're waiting. Okay, hello. We have some people coming into the room. So we're going to give people a few minutes to get in, and we're going to be talking to a friend of mine tonight who's going to give us some tools to be able to protect our energy as we move through this situation, maintain our energy. We're going to take a few minutes to give people time to get into the room, and then we'll start visiting. So say hello and let us know where you're coming from so that we can say hi to everybody. Hi, Deepa. It's good to see you. And we'll just give a few more minutes and then we'll start saying hello to Ray, to our friend Ray. Okay, say hello. If you've entered the room, say hi and let us know where you're from so we can say hello real quick, and then we're going to introduce our guest and we'll start talking. We're going to be talking tonight about protecting our energy or maintaining our energy through this crisis type situation. From the UK, Deepa, it's good to see you from the UK. I'm thinking about you guys. Sheila, hi from Indiana. Nice to see you. And as more people come in, we'll go ahead and tell them hi as they start introducing themselves. We have a few people that are in just being quiet. So I'm Cheryl. Welcome to Spirit Mail and welcome to Deep Dive. Tonight, we're going to be talking to a very good friend of mine, Ray Havlin. Ray and I met at a training seminar 4 years ago. Has it been 4 years already?
Yep.
4 years ago. Hi, Dee. It's nice to see you. We met at a training seminar about 4 years ago, and we've stayed in constant contact and with a group of people from that same seminar, and then personally between ourselves too. Ray's up north somewhere, I'm way down south. Hi, Kate from Australia. It's nice to see you. Welcome to Spirit Mail and Deep Dive. So we have with us tonight Ray Havlin, and Ray works with energy, and tonight he's going to talk to us about maintaining our energy through a crisis situation. So Ray, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me this evening. I will do my very best to try to speak to the folks that come to your particular YouTube page, and I would like to really encourage the people to place questions in the chat so Cheryl can read them, and I'd like to be able to address some things as we're going along. I have a tendency to kind of speak a little bit higher sometimes than what everybody understands, and it's just a vocabulary issue sometimes. It's not a matter of being more advanced or anything like that, but just some of the words you may not have heard before. If they're new to you, that's fine. Go into the question or go into the chat and say, what does blah, blah, blah mean, so that Cheryl can, come back and we'll clarify.
Yes, and we had an agreement before we started that I could interrupt him to ask those questions, because that's what I do when we're talking on the phone. I'm like, wait, stop, because I don't know what you're saying right now. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I want this to be as interactive as possible, even though you folks don't get to talk directly at me. So please chat at Cheryl so that it can be as interactive as possible.
Yes. So we're going to say real quick hi to Donna. It's nice to see you, Donna. Welcome to the deep dive. And hi, George from Houston, Texas. You're my neighbor. Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, Ray, go ahead. Take it away.
Okay. So I think what I'd like to do is open up with some kind of concepts around, what's going on right now. One of the things that I've been stressing for years is that all of us that are incarnate right now, we chose to be here at this point in time. So the first thing that you need to acknowledge is a massive amount of gratitude for being alive at this time. It might seem very scary to you, okay? And if it is, that's what I'm going to try to address tonight. There should be no fear. There shouldn't be anything that's got you really, quite frankly, off your mark at all. But there's a lot of reasons for why people are in so much fear and why there's so much panic worldwide. So one of the first things I want to talk about is this concept of an age. Now, I think a lot of us know about this Mayan calendar that we thought the world was going to end, on, what was it, December 24th of 2012, something like that. I don't know what that date was. Well, after people really understood what they were talking about, they know that our Earth goes all the way around that Milky Way galaxy, okay, and in what they call a great year. And within that, it's divided into 12 sections of 2160 years. And we all know what those 12 sections are also related to, the 12 zodiac signs.
Yes.
Okay. So you can look at this a lot of ways. It divides into 12. That's creation. We use as humans the term astrology, and we're the ones that give names to those 12 aspects, okay? That's a human thing we've done. With our mental capacities, we've created names and concepts and meaning around that. At the essence of it is just energy, and we're the ones that create the words and the meaning for that energy.
So we're labeling the energy.
Absolutely. And that's what we do as humans. We're labeling the experience.
We label everything.
We do. We label everything. That's part of what our mental body does for us, okay?
Yes.
So
hi, Beverly. It's nice to see you, Beverly. I'm sorry, Ray.
Oh, sure. So as we have an experience, okay, in 3D, we have the experience on the 3D level. Then our mind goes, okay, I just experienced that. And that is, and you don't know what it is the first time you experience it. Someone has to either teach you a word for it, or you're going to create your own word for it if you're the only one experiencing it. But somehow, some way, you're going to have an association in the mental body of, oh, that's what that is. So when a young child sees a tree for the first time, then they identify in the field, that's a tree. And then they're taught the word tree, at least in the English language. And then when you see another tree, it's like, I identify what that is. That's what's called a tree. So again, we create all these labels. All right. So Christ came at the beginning of this Piscean era. Okay. So the Piscean era is over now. That's what the end of the great year is starting. And we're moving back into now what's called the Aquarian age. Now, everyone's heard about the Aquarian age. I don't think people realize we are now in it. Piscean era is gone. So that Piscean area had all to do with things like government and military and structure and religion, things that are very mental, very, very discrete, very, very orderly. We're moving out of that into this Aquarian age. And there's a lot of aspects to this, but it's kind of like watching a wave come in. So if you imagine a wave coming into the ocean and it builds and then all of a sudden it starts coming towards you and then all of a sudden it overcomes you, that's how this energy is. So it's not like you flip a switch one day and a channel changes and you're like in the Aquarian age. There's this ramp up of the energy. All right. So what's happening right now is all these things that people who were conscious back in the 80s, okay, in the New Age movement, does everybody remember the New Age movement?
Yeah.
Right. So that's where people are like going, oh, there's going to be these earth changes and, things are going to weather and the earth's going to be, and so we're seeing all that happening. Okay. So yes, people were being able to consciously see that future energy and some of the effects of it. So now what we're seeing is we're kind of full blown into this, and it hasn't even begun to get intense yet. So,
okay, so real quick,
yeah,
that thought, somebody has a question. Araceli, hi, and Sheila, hi. Okay, so Araceli wants to know that right now she's feeling super tired and sleepy. It's overwhelming, and she's wondering if anybody else is experiencing that. Does that have anything to do with this intensity?
So super tired and overwhelming is the symptom that a physical body feels when you are not integrating those energies. Okay. So I tell people, when you get that really super tired feeling, in other words, if you've been like so tired, it's like you're about to, your eye, you just feel like, oh my gosh, it's just like, if I could just close my eyes, I'd probably just fall on the floor, and collapse and go into sleep. When you feel that kind of intensity, you shouldn't resist it. If you can just come and sit down, even if you're at work or what, now don't be doing this driving, okay?
Right.
But sit still, just sit still for just a few minutes. You can close your eyes and just let that energy just literally release and just let it come in as much as possible, okay? You're gonna find that it's gonna be really intense, and you should have no fear with it. In fact, you should feel great gratitude, because this is supportive energy. It is the Aquarian energy. It's here to shift you. It's here to shift your body. It's here to shift your consciousness. You resisting it is only going to make your body worn out, still going to have to integrate it at some point, and you're just basically delaying the inevitable as well. So believe it or not, just closing your eyes for a few minutes, or if you don't have to close your eyes, but for most people, I think it helps, and just let that energy just come in as fast as it can, and just completely just relax and release into it and let it come in. You're going to find that within 5 to 10 minutes, it's kind of like, okay, that went away, because you at least let the energy in. So absolutely, you want to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, so we talked about, the Piscean area and the Aquarian age and all like that. So these kinds of things that we're seeing where, the money system is collapsing, businesses are collapsing, governments are collapsing. I mean, we're watching this stuff happen in such rapid pace. It has to break down the old structures. It has to. So it's our job to release, but not destroy ourselves in the process. That's why if we do this on a daily basis, every little thing that kind of breaks or won't work anymore, it's like, oh, okay, that's done. Great. What's its replacement? What do I expand into? How can my consciousness now move into that Aquarian energy? And what's the new way of thinking, the new way of being, the new way of feeling? Now we do it like this. If that is your attitude every time you see something no longer work, you won't be afraid of anything. You'll be grateful. It's like, wow, here comes some neat new way of living again. And This is another gift that's coming through. So part of the process here that's hurting people so much, and where there's so much fear, the fear is body. Okay. So our reptilian brain back here, it has that fight or flight that kicks in. Well, where does it come from? Well, it starts with the mind signaling it. Look, this is what I expect to be happening. This is what is happening. These two don't match.
Right.
And then the greater the distance between the two, the greater the fear, the greater the anxiety. So for some people, if you're thinking, oh, there should never be a pandemic and people should never die of an illness and da-da-da, if you're out here like that with this, then yeah, your mind is creating this huge gap. It's not true. There's always viruses. There's always illness. It's whether or not you're going to experience it, and then you have to bring that back into center again. That's your job with your consciousness. Because if you leave it like this, then the body has no alternative but then to fight or flight. And then here we go. Here's the fear. And you're going to sit there and experience in the body that state of fear. So when you bring it back into equilibrium and realize where you are, then you'll be fine. So let's put it into perspective. Even in this country, I think we're up to like a little over 500 people that have died. And I'm guessing it's somewhere around 40 or 50,000 cases. Okay. Well, if you really want to use your mind and put that into perspective, there's almost 400 million people just in the United States, 380 something, I think it is.
Yeah.
I could be off on that a little bit, but anyway, it's millions, right? So there's a very small part that we have right now because of our social isolation. Now think about this. We've never done that. We've never had to isolate ourselves from each other. We've never had to cooperate with each other on a global scale like this ever before. This is brand new. Now, see, if you look at my face, you almost see some excitement as I talk about it, because to me, this is like, yes, people die. People die all the time, every day. People's bodies expire for a million different reasons. This is just something else that we have to learn to do. So this is a global cooperation thing that we're going through. Yes, it is a terrible, weird thing of having something called a pandemic as a way to make us do it. Okay. But it is something that we are learning to do. So imagine the positive aspects of this. Now that we know how to cooperate globally, because we move all around on this planet now there's going to be something inside all of us that sets up in our consciousness that, if I do that, that could affect everybody on the planet. That's a new thing that a lot of people are starting to realize. I'm watching people on Wall Street talk about, at the end of the day, this money thing makes no sense if we can't live. And if we can't keep each other safe, then, what do I care if bonds are this or stocks are this or banks or this? All this is a system we've created. That's not part of creation. Humans created that. So, yeah.
So that's a good way for me to, instead of just trying to talk.
See you.
Okay. So my question is, and there's two questions because D Baker also has a question in the chat, but my question is basically, we're starting to understand in a literal way that we truly are all connected.
Absolutely.
We're understanding that through this pandemic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about, like, in the United States, how many of you have gone to a grocery store and you've seen the shelves obliterated and empty?
Yeah, doesn't happen.
Okay, that's never happened before in this country. And I'll bet you if somebody told you it could happen, you wouldn't believe it, right? So, and then the other thing is, if you're the person that showed up there like I did a few days ago and went, so everybody took everything, there's nothing for me to take. So what do I think of my fellow human beings at that point? I know how scared they are.
Right, you have compassion for them.
And you're right. I could have been low consciousness and go, these horrible people, these greedy people, they're hoarders, blah, blah, blah. No, my heart instantly went to, I'm so happy and grateful that I don't have that fear. I don't have that panic. I don't have any of that. And I'm so sorry that they are in that state. I would love for them to be as comfortable as I am. I would much rather my fellow human beings feel this way. So if taking all that food and there's not any for me to take right now helps them, then I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine. If that gives them comfort, then I'm happy that gives them comfort.
Right.
Because go ahead.
Well, but we still maintain a healthy respect for the things like self-isolation in the process.
Right.
Okay, so D wants to know, interesting question. Does it help? Does this shift go smoother if you have Aquarius in your sun, moon, or rising sign?
Okay. So I'm assuming this person is all of those. So if you want, I'll give you a gold star and say yes. But yes and no. Okay, so we all have aspects. We have dominant aspects that we pick when we come in, okay? Like, for example, whenever I do someone's astrology chart, if I do their birth chart and go through and tell them about, all the different aspects of their birth chart, most people will go, oh yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, I am that way. that goes to show you how those influences are like a stamp when we come in. So we pick those aspects, those particular spins on all those aspects. What happens is as you then leave birth and you go through your timeline, all of the astrology is moving and changing and moving and changing, which is what we call the ephemeris. And all those planets, as they make all those different conjunctions and tines and squares, and I mean, they just, so what happens is that affects your birth chart, okay? But it affects you in the way that is in retrospect to the original birth chart you have. So if you are an Aquarian and we're in the Aquarian age, it's not like you get a double dose of that because unfortunately, it's not like a double dose of that. But what you really are getting is you're getting the higher global aspects of that energy. See, you're a human. So at your energetic level of the human, you get the Aquarian energy in your chart if you are born into that, and you get that at the human level. It's at that energetic level. Right. There's planetary level, and then there's galactic level. So most of what people are experiencing is, as a race of humans, is the galactic qualities of the age. Okay. This has been called by some of the people in antiquity the age of gods. And I think that what they were trying to get at when they said that is that we're trying to expand away from this little bitty me, myself, and I, and my little ego, and my bounded little physical body of a human. And now we're going into, we are collectively part of a one, right? But each of us then in our own way participates in that. We no longer have, that's where that kind of godlike consciousness is. We move into a oneness. So I think that's really what they were going for.
Okay. So I have another question, and we may need to, I asked Ray before we started, are we going to have time for questions at the end? And he said, yes, but if they have questions during the talk, let them do that too. So we have another question, but we may end up having to say, wait till the end. I don't know, because you have a lot of material to cover tonight.
Oh, it's fine. No, I think it's good because, like I said, I want this to be as interactive as possible. And
right. I want to make sure they get the information. We might just have to go a little longer. But anyway, George wants to know, for this Aquarian future, I like this question. Do we surrender to spirit completely, or do we try to have some control? And what type of controls should a person have for everyday progress?
Oh God, that's a great question.
Isn't that a great question?
Okay, so here's the thing that's so important. I think that there's been a lot of mental indoctrination that you are not in control of who you are or what you experience. We are taught that in school. We're taught that from the time that we're born, and we're indoctrinated, and this head gets indoctrinated. You think like this, and this is what you know, and this is how you'll act, and you get that all beaten down. Well, as we go into this Aquarian age, we can no longer do that. We can no longer suppress the divine us, the divine you.
That's inside of us.
That's inside of us. That's what Piscean era did. It beat it out of us in every way it could.
Boot camp.
Sorry again?
Boot camp.
Boot camp. Okay. More like Hell Week, if you ask me. Most people talk about, how in their youth and their childhood and everything. And it's funny because a lot of people, it's not until they're like 40, 50, 60 years old that they finally start being themselves. And then they have a spiritual awakening. Okay. Well, that's not going to happen anymore. We have to stay at the spiritual awakening point, and we're going to have to start doing it collectively in the heart. That's what that Aquarian age is really going to focus on. So, two things. One, as you get up every day, I tell people, every day you get up now, from the time you're here until you drop this body, you need to be trying to figure out, how am I more connected to the true me? My higher self, the divine me, whatever words that you want to use. Because again, we're labeling things still, but I'm talking about the essence. The more you're connected with that, the more you're going to realize, and it's my job, it's your job to exist in this human form and bring forth 100% of the essence that is you, because that is what creation needs from you. It doesn't need for you to succumb to someone else's ideology or what you should be doing or what you should be thinking or how you should be spending your days on this planet. It's up to you to connect to the highest part of you, the most divine connected you, and be that, and then express that through your physical form in a human life. That's what people have got to learn to do.
So sometimes, whenever I do a reading, I feel like Spirit's saying just surrender to Spirit. But I think what they're really saying is just surrender to this guide within you. And perhaps maybe I need to make that more clear, because that question almost sounds like we're surrendering to somebody out there. Are we supposed to surrender to somebody out there?
Okay, so the word surrender. Yeah, I don't like the word surrender. I've never liked that. I think that's, I hate to say, it's kind of a religious spin on things, right?
Right.
Kind of keep you under control, the doctrine, surrender, and all like that. Quite the opposite. I mean, instead of surrender, how about engage? Fully engage the divine you. That's what you should be doing. If you want to surrender to yourself to be you. I mean, this is something else that's been amazing to me. And I don't think people realize how fast this has come in, because this whole change in society, okay, and I'm mostly talking from the experience of the United States of America. For those of you who are watching someplace else on the planet, I apologize. But what we've seen here is a real resistance to get past a person's race or ethnicity or physical attributes or religion or sexual orientation or sexual identity. I mean, good Lord, we have gone from, within just maybe 10, 15 years of this Aquarian energy coming in, of keeping all these people under tow and ashamed of themselves and, you know, laws against them. And now to the point where we have people like, you know, Caitlyn Jenner, and just, you know, all these things are just now part of being okay. And that's what I'm trying to get at. This Aquarian energy is about, this is the new way to be. I have to be me. And it doesn't have to be restricted to these forms anymore. So that, I don't call that surrender. I call that engaging and honoring and being true to the divine you, which is what creation needs from you. I say that's what God needs from you, but some people don't like that word, or source, or goddess, or whatever word you want to use.
Right. Okay. So Sheila Jack wants to know, good will come out of this. Is this a spiritual thing? I think so, yes.
Sure. Well, at the end of the day, you're going to do one of two things. You're either going to stay in your body consciousness and connected to it. And this is something else. Let me just segue to this right now, because I think this is a good point. Your physical body, it has a consciousness all by itself. If you pull your spiritual energies out of that body, it still has a consciousness. So let's take an example. Usually if I do this in a live setting, and I'll just talk it through what I would do, I'll have someone come up and stand next to me, and I'll say, hey, so do me a favor, raise your left arm. They go like that. All right, put your left arm down. Okay. Now, if I never tell you to raise your left arm again, is your body going to do it by itself? Why not? Because it's not conscious enough to do that. Now, I come by around them, and I've got this little kind of sharp thing. It's not like a pin or anything, but it's just a little bit of a poke thing. And I kind of poke them in their sight, and then they go, whoa. And I go, well, why'd you do that? And he, well, you just poked me. What did you do? And I said, well, did you move? No, your body moved. Your body consciousness has that fight or flight. It's built into the nervous system. It's part of the first consciousness. It's not subconsciousness, by the way. It's first consciousness. I hope we can get rid of that sub at some point. So that first consciousness in the body goes, whoa, I got to get out of the way. You catch up. And then you look to see what even happened. Your body already moved for you. So there's two kinds of consciousness going on here, and you're commingled with it in a quantum lock. And so in the beginning with low consciousness, and as you grow out of that consciousness, you start to realize, oh, there's my body, and then there's me. And me goes way beyond my skin. You do not end at your skin. Wow. So that's the aspect that people need to understand.
Cool. Okay. So now if we can get back on track to where you were, because I don't remember.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with people energetically.
Okay.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share on the screen here something that will give you guys an understanding of what I'm talking about. Let me see here. There it is. All right. And I believe you guys could see that screen. Do you guys see it?
I'm sure they can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So what I'm going to show you here, we have technologies. This comes from Russian. I've been using this for quite a long time now. But we basically have ways of measuring the light energy, the resonant light photonic energy, which then we're able to basically through their software and through this stuff. And they've been doing this for like 30 some years. So it's quite an advanced science over there. And it basically can show us exactly where in this energetic field that is us. We have multiple energetic layers that make up our energetic self. We talk about 7 bodies. That's what a lot of the old literature talks about. In reality, I don't believe there's any limit to it other than our conscious ability to connect and be connected with, and then consciously willing those bodies as far out as they go. We talk about the first 7 typically in most spiritual practices. But what I want to kind of show you here is this is a person who is a mess. Let's just say that, just to be kind of crude. I mean, if you look right here in the field, I mean, you can see that there's a huge gap. And if I blow this up for you, you can see that this is completely missing. There's just a huge gap in the field, and then these expulsions that are coming out of here. Okay. If I come around to other parts over here, we can see the same thing happening here from a different angle. All right. This is this person's field basically coming apart. So here's another one. So we've got breaks in here. Okay. And I could go into a lot of the science of this, but I think it would bore you to tears because I really want you to see visually what I'm talking about as far as the integrity of this field. All right. Some people like to talk about the field as like being a web or a mesh. Again, labels, human labels, intellectual, mental labels, but the concept is kind of the same. This is just a scientific way of kind of showing what's going on. Now, if I go into like the yin yang, we can see here like this yin in the liver is gone into like a red area because it's having so much trouble. Well, and again, here we go. Here we have the breakdown in the field again. So the field is breaking down, and this thing can actually show us numerical numbers and, you know, green, yellow, red as a way of kind of showing us what's going on. When we go into the organ energies here, this person, and I'll just kind of draw these all back out. You can see a lot of this stuff has gone into the red. Okay, this person is not doing well at all. There's a lot of things going on. And here we go with that liver again, showing up here. All right. Now, what we can do is we can teach people how to shift their energetic system. And when we do that, this is what we end up with. We end up with, this is the comparison. So this is this person beforehand over here on this side, over on the left. And then after spending about 3 hours with me doing some energetic work, and then also mostly though, the energetic work that I do is I go into their energy field, move it into an area that they can get into that space where it's correct, and then have them learn to keep it that way. And then I back out of that area a little bit.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I was going to say, so are you able to teach, in addition to you doing the work initially, are you able to teach them maintenance to keep it up? That's what I was going to say.
Absolutely. I am all about teaching other people to develop their consciousness. I'm not a person that says, oh, I'm a healer and I'll heal you and I'm special. And then if you didn't have me, you couldn't have healed. No, that's not true. We only heal ourselves. The reason that some people are able to help people heal is that they actually do what I call create space. So you can imagine if there's a smoky room and this person is like, oh my gosh, it's just so smoky in here. And you're like, well, let me open a window and I will let all this smoke out. Okay, thank you. Now your job is, now you see how the smoke is gone. Oh yeah, all right. Again, and then I show, well, don't let it get smoky again. And again, I'm oversimplifying as an analogy just to kind of tell you what I mean, okay? So when I did this work with this person for about 3 hours, I don't think it takes, any kind of, special degree or anything. You can see the field has really amplified and it's gotten its integrity back in a large, large way, okay?
Right.
All right. Something else that we can look at is then, if we want to look at, and this is something I like, is the chakras. Okay. So if I go into, actually, let me go back to this. If I go into the compare, it's a little bit easier, I think, to see. And if I do that one. All right. So on this one, this is the before and the after. And then we look at the chakras. We can see that this person's chakras got much, much larger, which means the amount of energy increased. And so therefore, and the alignment got a little bit better. So it was somewhat around, and you can see the circles is where it goes to, but you can see the increase in what's happened there.
Right.
We get into other areas, I can go into more of this, but what I'm trying to get at more than anything is that you can go from this kind of state of person that's in this kind of shape with these kinds of problems and this kind of bad energy, and you can actually get them to a state where they're actually much more healthy. So let me go to that one real quick so you can see it full screen. So now we've got this state, okay? We've got organ energies. Now look here, look how the stuff came either into the yellows, a light yellow is just a little bit out, and the greens are back in.
Right.
So you can see the liver is still yellow, but it increased quite a bit because before that was severely red.
So
yeah.
So these are actual before and after information on actual clients that you've worked with.
That's correct. I
just wanted to make that clear. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So we do the capture before, do the energy work, do the capture after. And what's great about this is it helps the person's mind not only believe that it's true, but it teaches the mental body, oh, so I control this energy, and it starts to get into the body consciousnesses as well. So it creates a greater connection to being able to grow this state of consciousness of, yes, I control my energy. Yes, I can shape it. And yes, I can make it flow and make it work. So there's 3 aspects to this that I want everyone to realize tonight. And that is this. What I'm showing you here is that an energy field should have 3 things to be healthy. And let me stop the share here for just a second so I can just talk to you. Okay. So there's 3 things. The first one is the energy field is complex. If we have, let's just say we have 7 bodies, and each of those 7 bodies has a toroidal field, and it has an oscillation, and that is stacked upon another one, another one, another one, and another one, all out degrees of pi. We know all this stuff about sacred geometry and creation. Anybody that's studied this kind of stuff in sacred texts, all this stuff is out there. So if all that complexity is going on, that's the most important thing. That complexity has to be there. The second thing is it has to be coherent. So what does coherent mean? Well, the closest word that most people know that works best is equilibrium. All of them working in equilibrium. Like we don't have one part of the field out away from another field, or this one's got more energy than this one, or this one's got its rotation off, compared to the rest of the field. That's us messing with the coherence. That's our consciousness that gets in there and bumps it and moves it around in order to have certain experiences. And it's up to us to learn to keep a coherent consciousness. And then the third aspect is flow. You have to bring in the divine flow of energy. There's all kinds of words for it, chi and prana, and all these words that we use for the energy that exists in the field that we constantly bring in through this complex field and keep it in a coherent manner. That is where the vitality and the health comes from. And that's what we have to be able to maintain.
Okay.
All right. Are there any questions? If you had any questions on that.
I have a guy that, or lady, I don't know, Leon Rod, who just came in. They said that the virus's purpose is to cause fear that weakens our connection to divinity and the cosmos. It's related to the crown chakra. I mean, would a virus have a purpose like that?
Okay, so this is a scientific fact that's finally been documented by science. What people, I think, first of all, a virus is a part of creation, and it is 100% essential. Without viruses, we couldn't exist. What most people do not know, and this is a now proven scientific fact for whatever that's worth, 80% of the human genome has been altered by viruses. Okay? Viruses are creation's way of making updates to the code that is us on the DNA level. Okay? When we get a virus and we get that upgrade, if you want to call it an upgrade or adjustment, it has two purposes. One, it changes the energetic influence of our field. So if our field has a specific aspect and then the DNA comes in, it will change the field. That change in the field then creates a different consciousness, different aspects of things that we can then experience. Eventually, those changes, if they're encoded correctly, can create enough of a change that it's something that we call a change in the genome. And then that eventually creates something that can be expressed down at the physical body, all the way down at the physical body. That change in the physical body has two things that can happen. First of all, we can alter a genome. They now know this. A human being can alter their own genomes. They just do. They've proven it. And then the second thing is you can have a genome that you don't like, and you can just not express it. You can just say, no, I know it's there, okay, but I won't allow it to express. That's choice. That's free will. So when we think about these viruses, we got to figure out that the reason that a person is succumbing to, or a person might be dying from that, is it could be that that's altering enough of their field work and even down at the body level, that becomes somewhat incompatible, might be the word, takes it out of equilibrium. And if we were teaching people more of that consciousness, less people probably would pass from a virus. But that's not ever going to eliminate the effect of some viruses taking people out. It's just, go ahead. Yeah.
So back to what you were talking about before, whenever we first started the conversation, you were saying that before any of us came here, we chose to be here at this time. So I'm wondering if the ones who are passing from this, and I know this is going to sound, but did they choose that this is how they were going to leave? Was this one of their exit points?
It could be one of their exit points.
The consciousness.
It could be one of their exit points. It could be that they planned to come until this time, and they thought, well, once I get to a point where something's going to alter me beyond this amount of consciousness, if this is the virus that shifts their consciousness past a point that they wanted to do in this lifetime, then yes, they can drop the body. I mean, there's a lot of ways to explain it. Right. I think what I'd really like for your viewers to really get is that this is not some horrible thing that happens. We've been coming in and out of physical forms and developing these bodies and making them much more stronger, much more conscious. We come back into another body. We come back in with a greater consciousness on a spiritual level, into a body that has even greater consciousness on the body level. And that just gets better and better. And guess what? This process has limits, and then we get out and let it get, and then get back into a new body and work on that one and grow it forward and then get out. So that is the process. People can create all kinds of labels and judgment around, that this virus, my gosh, we should never have viruses, and we should have kept this from ever killing anybody. That's not possible. That's not how it works. So I don't want that to feel heartless, but I wanted to feel like that's what this process is. We as humans don't like separation and death because the physical body, we get very attached to our physical forms, and it's hard for us still. We're still working on that consciously, for sure.
Right. Okay, so Dee wants to know, do you use sound therapy for the energetic body in your healing processes?
Sound, light, and magnetism. Those are the three. Sound, light, and magnetism. Those are the three aspects of the energetic low body that we have a lot of conscious control around, actually. The problem that I find that with a lot of people that are doing a lot of work with sound or light or even magnetic, there's some magnetic therapies out there. Like the one that I love is it Rife? The Rife frequencies, and there's a lot of people, they say there's this machine and, you know, it creates these frequencies, and it's like, folks, that I don't know how this got off. That's not what Rife was showing. He was showing that there are frequencies in creation that are harmonic resonances that are part of constructs. So it'd be like me saying, if you put together a brick wall, but you didn't have any mortar, it's just going to fall over. Okay. And what Rife was saying is, with these frequencies, you can have the mortar that you maybe forgot to put in, or that mortar is part of what has to be in there. So without those frequencies, you can't have the wall. Well, but that's just for a wall. What if it's a roof? What if it's, you know, and again, I know this is, I'm using a house as an analogy, right. But if you go into the physical form, the complexity there is astronomical. So what he was trying to show is there are a lot of these base frequencies that his intuitional tapping into the universal mind. But what a lot of people are doing, they're kind of acting like, well, if I just turn this frequency on, that gives you that frequency. That's not what it does. What it does is, if you get that frequency and then you're consciously aware of that frequency because you hear it or you see it, if it's a color or if it's magnetism, you can feel it in the body, whatever you want to think of that is, it's up to you to understand and equate to that frequency and then realize, oh, I have to utilize that in my field. That is a much different conversation than I think what a lot of people are doing. But that's what I do with people. So like, let's take the woman that I was showing you, but the before and after, right?
Right.
So I go into her field and I can find out a specific area. Like, you know, there was a certain place in that diagram that was down off the side, it was all broken up.
Right.
Now, it turns out it shows me what part of the body. So I can go in intuitively, go into that space, and then I can pick up on energetically what's going on there, and I can bring it through. So usually I can like say, okay, so do you remember when you were 5 and blah, blah, this and da, 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 or do you remember, anyway, I'm trying to find something that's not
right.
Her example. I don't want to violate anybody's confidentiality, but let's say that, oh, you remember when you were 5 and this happened and all this kind of stuff. You remember get into that emotion, get into the emotion of it, because I could tell that's an emotional piece that's in there. Okay. Sometimes it's not emotional. Sometimes it's intellectual. They're memories of things. Okay. Sometimes it's past life energy that's in your field. That's another thing. You are not, people talk about, oh, you know, that's a past life. No, that's one of your past lives. You always have all those things in your field. All of your experiences as you come in and out of physical form, they're culminating.
Is it cellular? It's all cellular memory?
It's all energetic. It's the energetic you.
Okay.
It's the spiritual energetic you.
Okay.
So just like pulling a book off of a bookshelf and reading it again and going, oh yeah, I remember how to do that. You can do the same thing with all of your past life capabilities and stuff like that. We've all heard about people who come in and at age 3, they can play the piano. Well, duh, they're remembering that quick before, you know, and it feels like they're a prodigy or something. No, it was something they already learned that's in their field. So you have the ability to pull on to that kind of stuff. So that, you know, that makes a big difference too.
Okay, so we have a lot of technical conversation that we're having here. And one of the great things I love about what Ray shows is that, like he said, whenever I as a client can look at that screen, that energetic screen, and see, oh, I had a break in my energy right here and right there. And now that I've done this work, I have proof with this same after capture that now it's gotten better. So I have more belief, right? Basically.
And not only belief, but now it's like a tool that you've learned. It's like, wow, that's how you heal yourself. Exactly. Right. That's how you heal yourself.
So we have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
And one of the things that I was hoping that you could do is, and we're going to have you back to have more of this conversation, but to give us a tool to go away with, what is something that we can do to continue to maintain our energy in this time.
Okay, so why don't we do this? One thing I will say is this. I'm going to give you guys my YouTube channel. I don't really have, I just have a few pieces of music up there. But for your viewers, what I think I'll do is I'll probably put up some of these meditations, since we didn't get to all of them tonight.
Okay.
And I'll eventually get those up there. So if they want to go out to the YouTube and subscribe, and when I get them up there, then your viewers will be able to see them, and I'll get those up there. But for tonight, let's do probably what I think is probably one of the more basic vitality, health and vitality exercises that anybody can do. And I think it's one of the easier ones. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what I'm going to do, actually, I need to put on some music here because I do want you guys to have a little bit of something to listen to. So let me put on some music real quick here. All right.
While you're doing that, I just want to say, Araceli, we will definitely give Ray's contact information at the end of the talk, and I will have it in the description also.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So here's what I want everybody to do, and this won't take too long. We'll spin this as kind of the conclusion. So I want you to, if you're not sitting, I'd like for you to sit very comfortably, but I also want you to sit up and erect. I don't want you laying on the couch or, you know, whatever. I mean, I'm
a meditator. That's how I meditate. I lay on the couch.
Well, you can lay down. If you just want to listen to this and lay flat, you can do that as well. But I just need you to sit up straight, because one of the things that's so important is that we don't pay attention to the fact that the spine is basically the antenna system that connects with that energetic field. Okay, without that antenna nice and straight, you can't get to as much of it. So when you're sleeping, you know, when I tell people all the time, when you sleep, you need to sleep in a way also that keeps your spine as straight as possible. But when you do energetic work like this, you want to keep it as straight as possible. Okay, so we're going to do some breathing. Now, breathing is nothing new. Breathing has been taught since people existed. You can go back into some of the most ancient Sanskrit texts, and they're going to talk about breath. Well, there's a reason why. Breath is the first energetic layer that provides the energy that keeps us alive. Without breath, you're not going to last very long. The next layer is water. Water is the next thing that you can go not very long with the breath, but even with water, if you have plenty of breath, eventually the water will kill you. All right. Food is the very last thing. A lot of people think food's the first thing, but it's breath, and then it's the water. Now, that's where the prana and the energetic energy that's in creation that we can access, that's the two ways we mostly bring it through. Most of us don't understand that. We think that air and water are elements that we were taught in school. It's actually energy. So what we're going to do with breath is we're going to access that energy and realize that there is an unlimited amount of vitality and energetic potential surrounding us in our field, no matter where we go, no matter where this human form goes. And we need to access even more and more of it now. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to begin with the idea of breathing as if I take my mouth and I bring it down to my heart space area. Okay? So imagine breathing in and out of that heart space as if that's where the oxygen comes in and out. All right, so just go ahead and start that. Just imagine that air comes in and out through there. And you should feel that shift because it just causes your consciousness to bring your awareness in there. All right, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to deepen the breath to a count of 5. So it would be inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you continue that breathing in that heart space at that count of 5. Now I want you to imagine that all the pores of the skin are little noses. All these little microscopic noses on every pore of the skin. And I want you to only breathe through all the pores that are on the front-facing side of your body. So imagine from your toes to your fingertips, up through your shoulders to your forehead, just on the front side of your body, almost like you're standing in a wind that's coming at you. Breathe through all those cells and bring in that pranic energy and that breath into every cell of the body. And do it with that same 5 count breath in and 5 count breath out. Now shift to the back, almost like a wind is coming from your back, and you can only breathe in through all those little microscopic noses on the back side of your body. Breathing in and out at a 5 count. Now breathe in from the left only the left side of your body. Microscopic noses on your skin that bring in the pranic energy. Breathe in through the left. Same count, 5 in, 5 out. Now to the right. Breathe in through the right. Count of 5. All that pranic energy coming in with the breath. Now breathe down through only the top of your head. Bring in all the breath from the top of the head and breathe all the way down to your toes. Keep that long count of 5. 5 count in, 5 count out. Now shift to the bottom of your feet. Breathe in through the bottom of your feet, breathing in all the way up to the tip of your head. Same 5 count breath in, 5 count out. Now go 360 degrees, every direction coming into your body from the field. Just flood yourself with that pranic energy, breathing in through your skin, all the way in, a count of 5, and exhaling back out all 360 degrees, 5 count out. All right, and gently come back when you're ready.
Wow.
So I can ask you, we can't hear from your listeners, but can you feel the difference in the vitality that you feel?
Yes. And what was amazing to me was, of course, each section as I breathed through the front and then each side, I could feel, it felt like I could feel the breath coming into my pores.
And that's you learning to consciously bring that energy in, even though we're using the metaphor of a breath. What we're really doing is we're using our consciousness
to bring in the energy.
To bring in the energy.
And you know what occurred to me whenever you were talking about it is that, you know, a lot of us, I don't know about everybody out there, but you know, I have been a person who sometimes I feel like, you know, there's lack in the world. But whenever you do this and you realize what's going on, there's like zero lack. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, there used to be this phrase I use. I said, are you breathing? Yes. Are you bleeding? You know, then you don't have a problem. The rest of it's choice.
Right. But I mean, it's hard for us to get there when we're in that place. But like this right here, it's amazing. And whenever we did the 360, it was like, it was like, I don't want to say chills, like goosebumps, because it was different than that. It was more like skin needle pricks, tiny needle pricks. They didn't hurt, but it was like all over my body, but not like goosebumps, just like needle pricks.
That's what prana feels like.
Okay, wow, that was really awesome.
Right.
That was really awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the last thing I'll leave your listeners with is if you go to YouTube and you type in my name, Ray Havlin, Rayhav as in Victor, Lin, and sound bath, SOUNDBATH. You'll see a sound bath that I've put out there. There's a binaural version and a non-binaural version. I recommend the binaural version. It's an hour long, and you need to listen to it with complete over-the-ear headphones, not earbuds. That doesn't work. Over-the-ear headphones for the binaural version. You can use earbuds for the non-binaural version. What that hour-long thing does is it goes through the creation frequencies, and you'll hear them in three-dimensional space. I've tried to place them in our field so that when you sit and listen to them, you get a resonant out at those different parts of our energetic field. And if you pay attention to where they are, and as you're closing your eyes and you're listening to those sounds, it kind of just puts that into that energy. And you talk about Rife wanting to put frequencies into your field. This is a way for you to do that for those 7 different harmonics. And it's only human voices and recorded instruments that are in the sound field.
Wow. Okay. So, and this is just, you just have it out there for them to benefit from.
Yeah.
And it's going to be real essential and beneficial, especially during this time, kind of like the same experience we just had, basically.
Yes. And a lot of people have trouble getting through the whole hour. If you do, it shows you that your mind is running you. Your mind's like going, I got to do something else. It's like, So if you can't get through the full hour, don't beat yourself up. You should be able to get to a point where if you want to do some of the breath work we just talked about, along with the listening to the sound bath, that's going to help a lot.
Yeah. So Donna B wants to know, why does she feel like she's got a block in her throat chakra after this meditation?
Okay. So anytime you move energy, you're going to push on blocks. Anytime you create more, like blowing up a balloon, if there's a weak spot on that balloon, you ever seen a balloon get and it gets like a little extra little bulb on it or a little soft spot? Same thing happens with our blocks. So what you can do is then put more energy into, she said it was the throat, right?
Her throat chakra, yeah.
Yeah. So do that breathing. If you want, do that breathing technique and just bring it in and out of that throat. I want to tell you something, folks. I go through little weird things in my body every day, but I know it's energy. So I go in there and I don't go, oh, I need Tylenol or I need to take a pill. That's not what I do. I go into the energy. I put my consciousness in there. I try to figure out what kind of energy it is and then try to modulate it and get it to resonate correctly. In other words, go back into the complexity, make it coherent, and get it to flow again.
Right. So, but with that said, and I'm just going to say this, with that said, if we can't achieve that for ourselves, there's no shame in taking Tylenol.
Oh, no, of course not. No, of course not. Do whatever it is. There's a lot of good reasons to support the physical body as you're working on it energetically. Yes. And I do that too. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of supplements that I'll take. Like one of the ones that I like to do is I do a detox at least once a month with bentonite clay and zeolite. And I can tell when I'm getting toxic because I can feel it energetically. Now, I could really work on myself and get a hold of those toxins and start breaking them down and getting the body to eliminating, but that's a lot of work. It's a lot easier to take the bentonite clay and the zeolite and let it do a lot of the grunt work of grabbing a hold of that stuff and physically eliminating it from my form. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, great. Ray, you have to come back.
I'll come back anytime you ask.
Okay. Thank you so very much for sharing your time with us and your knowledge. and I appreciate so much this meditation that you gave us, and it'll be on the replay. So guys, I'll try to put a timestamp in there for when the meditation starts. So if y'all want to just go back and do that part for little pick-me-ups, and then we'll have Ray's YouTube channel also with that sound bath meditation too. And I'll also have his email address in the description box. Ray, do you have any parting words?
No, if you guys do want to get a hold of me, the email that, and if you just want to write it down, if someplace where you can't see the description, it's just deep dive, like the name of her talks, deep dive at rayhavlin.com, RAYHAVLIN.com. And
Right.
I don't look at it every day because I get busy sometimes, but I will return your emails.
Okay, yes. And then the YouTube channel is also Ray Havlin.
That's correct.
And he's sending you to the sound bath meditation.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Ray, again, thank you so much. I love you to pieces.
Love
Guys
you.
out there, I love y'all so much. Thank you for popping in and spending time with us this Tuesday evening. And I look forward to seeing y'all again next time. And until then, have a super duper day. Bye.